It's Memorial Day weekend.
What are we going to do?
Watch horror movies.
Okay.
Same thing we do every weekend.
And we should talk about movies that we saw the previous weekend.
I'll bet there were 5 of them.
Yep, you're right.
5 movies.
In case you haven't figured out, this is the Horror Guys.
It is. It's the Horror Guys.
And I'm Kevin.
I'm Brian.
And here we are once again going to talk about movies.
Yay!
One of our favorite things. This week we have Kryptik, which is spelled
No, really,
funny.
what's it about? You're being cryptic about
It's
it.
spelled with a K, though, and a K at the end. It's spelled funny.
I don't think it was spelled that way in the movie, though.
Yeah, it was.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, I believe so. That just came out last year. And also last year's Bloody Axe Wound. And then 2022, we have Shin Ultraman.
We all like Shin Godzilla. Is this the same kind of thing? We'll find out.
And 2007's Jack Brooks Monster Slayer.
One I had never heard of.
I liked that one, yeah. And going back to the 70s with Godzilla versus Megalon.
Well, because you can't have just one kaiju movie in a week.
Nah, might as well do 2.
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about first?
You pick.
Oh, we should talk about Kryptik.
Kryptik.
Yeah.
Kryptik.
Which I had never heard of before.
Is he the guy with Superman if you say his name backwards?
Mm-hmm, I think so.
Yeah. Kryptik.
Yeah. I had never heard of this one before we saw this.
Directed by Courtney Roy, written by Paul Bromley, stars Chloe Peary, Jeff Gladstone, and Jason DeLine. Hour and 36 minutes. Trailer in the show notes. Spoiler free, what's it about?
Well, what seems to start out as a simple cryptid in the woods story, it gets steadily more complicated as a curious woman, who seems to have amnesia, retraces the steps of a missing cryptid hunter. And it's full of strange and interesting characters and things that make you wonder what's going on. And we thought it was a good one. It keeps you really involved right up till the end, and then kind of an ambiguous wrap-up.
Yeah.
So we didn't get super clear answers. We kind of figure out what's going on.
It's a mystery.
It's weird, yeah. And it's a mystery. She's retracing the steps and trying to figure it out at the same time we are. Yeah. We both liked it, but I think it might not be for everyone. I think that ending might not satisfy some folks.
All right. Well, we'll see here in a minute.
But I liked it.
Okay. I liked it too.
Oh, really well made.
A woman drives through the forest. No spoilers. Just a taste.
Uh-huh.
A woman drives through the forest to a very isolated-looking place. She eventually arrives with a group. It's the Women's Walking Club on Crypto Peak. Crypto spelled like Superman's dog.
Uh-huh.
Kay has joined the group, hoping to make some friends, but she sits alone and ignores everyone else. That's not how you make the friends.
No, it isn't.
The tour guide tells them about Barb Valentine, a local cryptozoologist, and a lot of people can't even say that word in this movie, who went missing a while back. He explains what cryptids are. Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
She was here to see the Suka, a tall, hairy creature, something like Bigfoot, but with a mole's face.
Which they just made up for the movie.
Isn't that a real thing?
No.
Kay soon wanders off alone and encounters the creature, even getting it on video. She runs to the nearest campground as the tour group wonders what happened to her. She sneaks back among the group and pretends that she was with them all along. See that she's a little odd.
Yeah, and she doesn't seem to remember who she is because, they're talking about one of them came missing, and he's actually calling names on his list, and having step forward, and Kay doesn't answer.
They know that Kay is missing, and there's this other woman just standing there now.
Yeah, and he's like, Kay? And she's like, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, when she gets back to her car, she checks her driver's license and sees that it says Kay Hall, and she acts surprised.
So she goes to the address on the driver's license, and that's her home, apparently.
There's a house there, and she looks around, and she's alone.
Yeah.
She goes to bed, and in the morning, she goes through all her clothes and continues to explore the place. She eventually looks through her video camera at the footage, but gets interrupted by the phone. It's someone who calls themselves Don, her boss, who wants her to come in this afternoon.
And she's like, yeah, where is that again?
But she goes there.
She does go there.
She figures it out.
Yeah. Except when she realizes she's saying, I work in a vet office, and then turns around and leaves.
At home again, she starts researching Barb Valentine, and the photo that comes up on the website is her. Suddenly, someone breaks into her house. She runs to the car and drives away. She wakes up at 3:15 the next day, parked out in the woods, and her legs are covered in mud.
So she's missing time, she's missing memories. There's weirdness going on.
She drives to the Blue Cliff, the last known place where Barb was supposed to have visited, as she listens to a podcast about sukas in the car. Yeah, we should stop there. She runs into some interesting people.
Yep, along the way, retracing Barb's steps.
Well, most of the film is one of those what is going on here kind of plots. It's well acted, it looks good, never gets boring, which is the cardinal sin of horror movies,
Right.
and has lots of interesting characters. She runs into some real weirdos.
Mm-hmm.
So what was going on? Well, okay, how much can I say here?
Don't say too much.
We repeatedly get monstrous, slimy flashbacks, especially when anything approaches being a sex scene. And I was starting to wonder, is this going to be one of those trauma movies? Trauma, the grief we met all along the way kind of things.
I don't think it's that.
It's
no.
not that. I don't think it is.
I don't think so.
I don't really know what it was, though. It was entertaining and weird, but I'm not going to pretend to understand it. Do I recommend it? Depends on if you need answers or not.
But if you like weirdness and good acting.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it, but the ending...
I thought she was pretty amazing in it.
Doesn't explain much.
Yeah. And, yeah, I'd give it a thumbs up. I'm going to go on the side of liking it.
Oh, I like it too, yeah.
Yeah.
What's next?
My favorite of the week.
Which is?
2007's Jack Brooks Monster Slayer.
Oh, I think I'm going to go with Bloody Axe Wound. Okay.
No, I didn't like that as well.
2007, Jack Brooks Monster Slayer, directed by John Nautz. Written by John Nautz, Trevor Matthews, and Patrick White. Stars Robert Englund, Freddy himself.
But not as Freddy.
Trevor Matthews and Daniel Cash, hour and 25 minutes, trailer in the show notes. He did do other things besides Freddy, believe it or not.
Yeah, he did.
Spoiler free, the script is kind of predictable as things unfold, but it's well written, and the two leads here do a fine job, as well as the supporting cast. All the effects are practical without CGI, which gives it a throwback vibe at times. This is 2007, so they had CGI back then. Not great, but they had it. But they didn't use much of it here.
None.
It was a nice blend of horror with some humor, and we both liked it quite a bit. I had never heard of this. You'd seen it before.
And I liked it so much that I bought it on physical media.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, give us a taste.
Well, we open on a battle in the jungle with a bunch of natives fighting a crazy one-eyed lizard man.
And I saw this lizard guy in the trailer and thought it looked like CGI to me.
No,
But
he's not.
I guess it's not.
No.
It's a guy in a mask.
Yeah. There is over-the-top panic in the village. But inside a tent, we don't see the face of a monster hunter who is preparing for battle. And credits roll.
I bet it's Jack Brooks.
Oh, spoiler. Yeah. This is actually a flashback, we find out. Yeah. We cut to young Jack, who is always in trouble for his aggressive behavior. He had some crazy anger issues. Before that, he was a normal kid who went camping with his family until a monster ate them all.
Oops.
Yeah. And today's he's in therapy with Counselor Silverstein, and Jack is pretty messed up.
Yeah, he's got some issues.
He's got some anger issues, yeah. Well, Jack goes to night school, where Professor Crowley teaches chemistry. The old teacher explains sodium to the class and makes a little explosion. Jack and Eve are a couple, but she's also into another guy in the class. Jack's a plumber, and Crowley wants some help with his pipes later.
He really wants help with his pipes. It's not a metaphor.
It's not a metaphor, yeah. Later, Jack goes to the professor's messy old house to work on the pipes. It seems the professor just moved in, and it's kind of a rundown place. He's getting it fixed up. Well, the house has some history, and Crowley bought it pretty cheap. Jack gets to work, and he's really kind of bad at his job.
He really is.
But it's also some really messed up plumbing, which, strangely enough, leads to a hell portal opening up in the backyard. When the pressure backs up,
those pipes are not clean.
It makes the pipes run back, and the pressure builds up and splits the ground open. Well, later still, smoke comes out of the hell portal and possesses Professor Crowley, whose eyes turn black. And the next day, Jack talks to Silverstein about Eve. Jack needs to find some way to relax. Crowley wakes up outside, finds that he's been digging. Well, he digs some more, and uncovers a big wooden crate that he takes inside. The box.
I thought it was the thing from Creepshow. I was hoping it was
that's
Monster
kind of
from
what I was
Creepshow.
expecting, yeah. Well, the box contains a skeleton and a heart that is still beating. And Crowley swallows that whole, which is never a good thing.
Probably a good place to stop there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as we said earlier, there's no CGI at all in the film, and all the effects are practical. The individual humanoid monsters are really well done, but the big professor monster, obviously the professor is going to turn into the monster. We already covered that.
Mm-hmm.
But that thing he turns into is just kind of ridiculous. That's a puppet if I ever saw a
That's
puppet.
a giant puppet of a puppet, yeah.
It's predictable, but it's well done. It's not quite a comedy, but it's got lots of silly bits. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it had a good balance of humor and horror.
Yeah.
And I liked the job the two leads did.
Yeah, it was good.
Robert Englund is always a pleasure to watch. And, yeah, Trevor Matthews was good.
So that's your favorite of the week.
I'm going to go with my favorite of the week, yeah.
All right, well, what's next?
Oh, how about Godzilla versus Megalon?
Oh, an oldie.
I'm going to let you read these names.
Okay. 1973, Godzilla versus Megalon. Okay, the rest is yours.
Nuh-uh.
Nuh-uh?
Nuh-uh.
Directed by Jun Fukuda, Yoshimitsu Banno, and Ishiro Honda. Written by Jun Fukuda, Takashi Kimura, and Shinichi Sekizawa. Stars Katsuhiko Suzaki, Hiroyuki Kawase, and Yutaka Hayashi. An hour and 18 minutes.
That's a short one.
It is a short one.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. We've seen it all before anyway.
Spoiler free, this one has an interesting start with a futuristic 1970s kind of world. And I thought the beginning was the most entertaining part, with surface people versus an undersea empire. This time around, Godzilla has an ally in a humanoid robot that they call Jaguar.
Which I saw the trailers, and I thought that was Ultraman, but it's not.
Yeah, there is a resemblance.
Wrong robot man.
And this robot can enlarge to meet Godzilla's size. Once the big creature battles start, though, it's kind of a lot of reused model footage that we've seen before. And the guys in rubber suits fight to the point of tedium. Goes on too long.
Yeah, you said an hour and 18 minutes is a short one. It felt kind of long.
Yeah, it managed
half
to.
the movie is guys in rubber suits beating up each other, and
yeah, we didn't enjoy this one as much as some of the others.
It's too much.
But like I said, the beginning was cool. I liked that part.
Well, a narrator talks about an underground nuclear test that went badly. They felt the impact as far away as Monster Island, and we see the monsters there upset at the yellow smoke. Yellow smoke from a nuclear blast? How close are they?
Too close, apparently.
Well, credits roll. Well, we cut to a child riding a paddle boat in a lake. Goro is on the shore taking pictures of Rokuro, his little brother, and hanging out with his friend Hiroshi. There's a sudden earthquake, and the lake starts smoking and bubbling. Goro shoots a rope out and pulls the little boy back in before it's too late. That all looked really safe.
Yeah, really.
The three make it to safety just as a whirlpool swallows the paddle boat. Soon the whole lake is gone. It's all drained into a sinkhole that just formed on the bottom. On the drive home, they hear about more fissures opening, and the radio blames it on the nuclear test. They all talk about Lemuria and Mu, great cities that sank after earthquakes buried them in the sea. Well, when Goro and Rokuro get home, they find men inside who beat them up. Hiroshi comes just in time to save them. Fortunately, he's a karate expert.
Good thing.
After they recover, we see that Goro is the inventor of a science fiction type inventor. He's got all the gadgets.
Mm-hmm.
The place is a mess, but they didn't take anything. Meanwhile, Hiroshi chases the bad guys in his dune buggy. They drop a firebomb out of the car, and they get away.
That was an awesome dune buggy, too.
Yeah. They do find some strange red sand on the floor of the house. After some testing, they find that it's from a very far-off island in the Pacific. Because, they'd know where that sand came from.
That seems unlikely, but we'll just go with it.
Okay.
Because science.
I can identify all the sands that are on, Easter Island, because why not?
Sand. It's a hobby. Sand science.
Yeah. Well, Goro is working on a robot, and he finally finishes it. The bad guys then kidnap Rokuro and make him open the door to Goro's lab. These two baddies, it turns out, are agents from the hidden island of Seatopia, and they want that robot. Well, we cut to Seatopia, where there's a whole ritualistic dance thing going on.
Best part of the movie.
The Emperor of Seatopia says that the men above declared war by blowing up their northern province with their nuclear tests. They call upon their monster, Megalon, to destroy the surface dwellers. Well, Megalon is a giant monster with metal claws, wings, and some kind of electrified horns that glow. The agents program the robot, who also flies, to assist Megalon in his task by guiding him. Alright, well, one thing leads to another, and Godzilla gets involved, and there's a big fight that goes on for like 6 hours.
Yeah, it seems that way. It felt that way.
Yeah, there's a lot of stock footage and reused footage from previous films here, with the army and evacuation stuff. And every time that mobile gas station appears, Kevin has to point it out. There it is again!
There's one on the corner that they keep using.
It blows up in every movie.
Uh-huh.
There wasn't that much monster action until the final half hour, but then it was nothing but men in rubber suits fighting. It started out well enough, but it was just too much monster fighting, which gets old quickly because you know how it's going to end.
Godzilla always wins.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like a wrestling match where you know ahead of time
Yeah.
who's going to win. Yeah.
Is it the middle of the movie? Godzilla's going to lose. If it's the end of the movie, Godzilla's going to win.
You know that.
Yeah. But okay, it was all right. It's just the men in the rubber suits get to be a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. What is next?
No, not Godzilla. Shin Ultraman.
Oh, you just want me to read more of them names.
I do.
Directed by Shinji Higuchi and Iki Todoroki. I want to be named Icky.
Icky.
Written by Hideaki Anno and Eiji Surabaya. Stars Takumi Saito, Masami Nagasawa, and Hidetoshi Nishijima. Hour and 52 minutes. And this, you don't have to do the trailer. The whole movie is available for free on YouTube.
Hot diggity.
Woohoo! Spoiler free.
It's a modern update to the Ultraman storyline. With multiple kaiju creatures and multiple aliens battling it out with humanity and with each other. I thought the human characters were really well fleshed out and interesting. There's a lot of talk and human drama in this one, but there's a decent balance of action without the tedium. You know, I thought the battles were short and better in this one.
Yes.
Giant creatures fighting. So overall, we thought it was very fun and entertaining.
Yeah, totally worth it.
Yeah, it was.
I was a little on the fence about whether Ultraman was a horror movie or not. But, I mean, if Godzilla counts, this does too, because there's giant monsters. And it's bad.
And humanity is in peril, and there's a body count.
Yeah, this one's got alien
Collateral
invasion
damage.
too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, psychedelic 70s credits roll. We immediately cut to Gomez, a giant Godzilla-like monster who attacks the troops. And there's a full-on battle going on. They quickly defeat the monster, but then they have to battle the Mammoth Flower, a whole different monster. It's just one monster after another. There's a whole bunch of giant creatures we've never seen before, and these are all designated as S species, or kaiju. The DPA, Disaster Prevention Agency, is created to battle the monsters. All right, so this is, I don't know, alternate universe or something, but there's a lot of monsters we have not seen before.
Mm-hmm. And the DPA folks are basically the administrators that have all the knowledge of the kaijus and come up with the ideas of what the soldiers can do, and various weapons they can use.
In the modern movies, they're a lot like Monarch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, there's a new monster in town, Neronga, and this one is both invisible and has some kind of lightning power. It's a little much for everybody. The DPA and the military work together since invisibility means lasers have no effect on it. I guess that's
Science.
true.
Yeah.
That would kind of make sense.
The beam would just pass right through.
It's overpowered by a power station and then becomes visible. The boss complains that kaiju only seem to attack Japan. The other nations might let them have nukes, though, to defend themselves, but Japan is going to have to pay for them, and they're very expensive. Wonder what a nuke costs.
A lot.
Well, it's all looking bad for Japan when something crashes down out of the sky near Neronga. The object moves in the smoke, and they all see it. It's a giant silvery robot with glowing eyes. Well, Neronga zaps the big robot full blast, but it doesn't affect him at all. When the robot shoots back, Neronga pops like a grape, as does a lot of the mountainside. He might be a little overpowered.
It might be.
We see a guy later we know as Shinji caught in the blast, shielding a boy. Then the robot flies away and seems to vanish off radar. We see Shinji carrying the boy out of the woods. Well, we cut to the city where everyone is talking about kaiju now. Aren't they wonderful? Aren't they terrible? Everybody's got their own opinions.
Everybody has an opinion, yeah.
Asami is transferred to the department as an analyst. She meets Yumi, Kimio, Akihisa, and Shinji. She's enthusiastic about being teamed with Shinji, but he's not excited. The group names that new robot thing Ultraman. Oh, boom! It's time for another kaiju. This time, it's a radioactive subterranean one named Gabora, heading for a nuclear facility. They bomb it with American bunker buster bombs. Bunker buster bombs. I could say that all day.
Buster bombs.
It's only 1 mountain away from the nuclear waste storage. Shinji runs off in the middle of the battle, and suddenly, Ultraman shows up right outside the camp. Does Shinji wear Clark Kent's glasses, do you suppose?
He just had to go potty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The creature is radioactive, so if Ultraman uses his beam on it, that could be catastrophic. Well, Ultraman knows this, turns out, for some reason. He knows everything the DPA knows for some reason.
Everything that Shinji knows is.
And does everything he can to protect the humans from the monster. And we'll just stop right there. There's lots of monsters, lots of fighting.
Uh-huh.
Lots of Shinji.
Yeah.
Well, I was never an Ultraman fan growing up, so my exposure to his story is a little bit limited in knowing who he is, but not much more.
Same here.
I mean, there was Godzilla movies, there was Gamera movies, and there was Ultraman movies. The three big series.
I don't remember seeing any of the Ultramans at the time, back in the day. I saw lots of Godzilla, kaiju, but no Ultramans.
I don't remember much of that either. I think maybe he was just never that big in the States.
Yeah, I think so.
Compared to the others.
Uh-huh.
Well, Gabora, the underground drill creature, I thought that was a pretty cool design.
Yeah, it was.
His head is like a giant underground drill.
But then it splits open and his face is underneath the drill.
It's very cool, very anime-like.
Yeah, it was cool.
Actually, most of the creatures here were really well done, although many of them were obviously CGI. There's no real connection here between this film and Shin Godzilla. Although Shin Godzilla had a lot of talking and politics and, behind-the-scenes stuff, and so does this one.
How the government is handling these issues. And,
So there are similarities, although there's officially no connection.
Right.
There is, however, a lot of monster action still. Overall, it's pretty decent, and we were both entertained.
Yeah, I thought it was a hoot.
But be warned, it's a very talky film, which means there's lots and lots of subtitles to read.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
It was worth it.
I liked it, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
thumbs up.
Shall we watch more Ultraman someday?
So pretty much
Maybe.
all thumbs up except the Godzilla versus Megalon, not as much. But
it was a little boring, but then again, we've seen an awful lot of them awfully recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have one more movie to talk about.
The Bloody Axe Wound, which I'm going to call my favorite for the week.
Okay. I don't know. For some reason, it took me a while to figure out what was going on in this.
I read the description before we went into it.
I was slow on the uptake.
The plot was pretty clear.
Okay, yeah, I knew nothing about it ahead of time.
Written by Matthew John Lawrence and directed by him also. Stars Sari Arambulo, Billy Burke, Molly Brown, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Hour and 23 minutes. Trailer in the show notes. I think how Jeffrey Dean Morgan makes it to the credits, and he's in it for like 3 seconds, right in the very opening scene.
He's a big name. They're going to put him in. Yeah.
You do not watch this just for him.
No, a minor part.
Well, spoiler-free, it's heavy on dark humor playing with the slasher tropes. We start out, right off the bat, learning that there's a movie serial killer in the real world in the video business to make money making movies about his killing.
It's complicated.
There's a serial killer who runs a video store, who sells tapes
of his own stuff.
About his story, about his true stories.
Mm-hmm.
His daughter stands to take over both the movie and the killing business, but things get complicated when she gets a little too involved with the victims. It's strange and well done, and we liked it a lot. What happens?
Well, we open on a woman having a very bad day between a serial killer and a werewolf. And the werewolf is just a person in a mask. You can see it's a very rubbery mask. He chops her with the butcher knife, and then we pan back and we see it's just a TV show starring Butch Slater.
And that's the last we see of Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
pretty much, yeah. Our narrator, Abby, talks about her father, who is Roger Bladecut, and he's a real-life serial killer who keeps their town famous. The murders on the TV show and the movies that they make are all based on the real murders committed in the real world by her father.
So I guess the whole town is kind of a tourist attraction because of the serial killer who still is active?
And some in the town seem to be very aware who Roger Blade Cut is, and others
It's kind of hard
don't.
not to tell by looking at the guy.
Yeah. He looks odd, yeah.
You don't want to think about this one too hard. It's kind of all a joke.
Yeah. Well, Abby goes to the office and watches the scene we just saw on his TV. Well, Roger complains that he doesn't like the wolf. It was actually Abby who played the wolf on that show, and he's not keen on that. Mackenzie is a guy who works at the video store, and he's pretty annoying. Glenn, the dry cleaner, tells Abby he doesn't want to clean Roger's clothes anymore because last time he found a toe in one of the pockets.
It's a very loosely kept secret.
Yeah, he's on board with it too. Seems that, people know about it. A select group knows about it. Well, Son of Blade Cut, starring Mackenzie, is coming out soon, and Abby's mad that she's not involved. She's the kid. She's Blade Cut's kid, but Mackenzie is going to get credit as son of Blade Cut. Well, Roger doesn't want her to be his replacement because she's a girl, and he says you can't have some woman who weighs maybe 100 pounds soaking wet instill the fear in the hearts of teenagers. Yeah, he's kind of got a point. She's not intimidating physically. Still, he offers to have her tag along on the kill tonight just to see how it goes. And then we cut to two stereotypical teenagers alone at the lake at night. Roger puts on his hockey mask, grabs his machete, and kills them both. And then keels over with a heart attack.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And the hockey mask he wears is like an old antique wood kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Resurrection of Blade Cut was a hit film, so she buries her father.
If he comes back at the end of that movie, he might come back in the end of real life.
Well, he does come back, like he always does. But he has trouble digging out of the grave. He gets stuck part way out. He's floundering, flopping his hand up. So she gives him a hand, and he admits maybe he is getting too old for this stuff.
Yeah, we should stop there.
Yeah.
It's a comedy.
It is.
Based on slasher stuff. It's a horror movie about a serial killer who makes true-life horror movies. He uses all the basic slasher tropes, but they're all very intentional and comedic here. The same stuff you've seen 1,000 times before, they have too, and they know about it. There's a lot here that you don't want to think about, but it's fun anyway. I thought it was very cool.
Thoroughly amusing and entertaining.
Yeah.
Once I figured out what was going on. And that's all we have to her today.
Yeah, we'll have more next week. You want to take a little trip?
Yeah, down Fear Street.
Sesame Street? Oh, not
Fear
Sesame
Street.
Street. Fear Street.
Fear Street, yeah.
There's 4 of those things out now.
So we thought we would check them out.
Check them out, all of them. Yeah, all 4 of them. We got, what do we got? Fear Street Part 1. What they call that second one? Oh, Fear Street Part 2.
1978. They
go
by
the years, yes. Yeah. 94, 1978, 1666, and Prom Queen.
Prom Queen is in the same town.
Kind of a standalone.
But kind of a standalone, yeah. So we'll see how those are.
And we'll have a 5th movie that is
something
got to
else.
be a surprise because we haven't decided yet.
Yep.
Well, that's it for this week. Stop in at horrorguys.com. Sign up for the weekly email at horrorweekly.com. And, of course, check out all our books at horrormonthly.com. We are loaded with horror.
We are.
Over 2,000 movies and counting.
Nice.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.